So I agreed with my husband. I said, if this works, I said, this is just going to change my life.
So, Quantum Touch founder Richard Gordon recently put out a public call to anybody in the world to gather together with a group of people and a professional who can measure alignment, structural alignment, specifically of the hips and the cranial bones. And Johanna was somebody who I believe she answered the call, but she'll explain how she got connected to Richard. And they created a video documenting this experience of Richard sending energy from Mexico to Portugal, where Johanna is located. And the osteopath measured the hips beforehand and the occipital ridge, and then measured after. And I'll link in the description to the video so everybody can watch it. And in 100% of the people, after receiving the energy, their bones were aligned. So it's an extraordinary video. And I had come across Johanna because I discovered her tweets on Twitter about this experience and how powerful it was for her personally, and that it has inspired her now to pursue taking level 1 in quantum touch, and that she's going to document her experience learning this type of energy healing. So welcome, Johanna. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Renee, for inviting me on and being interested in my story. It's all just been a big surprise for me because it's nothing that I expected. So I'm Johanna Farrimond, and I have a Twitter and a YouTube channel. And on Twitter, I talk about self-discovery and the authentic self. And someone had, I'll just go into the story of how I came across Richard Gordon, because I have no background whatsoever in energy healing. I've had no formal sessions with any sort of energy healing. So I didn't even really know any of this was possible. And I was on Twitter one day, and someone happened to follow me. And before I follow someone back, I usually will just take a look at their profile. And it was this doctor from India who happened to follow me called Zen. And I just had a quick look through his profile, and I happened to see Richard's tweet, and he had some other interesting tweets. So I messaged this doctor, which I usually don't do, but I said, oh, I'm going to follow you back. You have a really fascinating profile. And just through that, I started to see some of Richard's tweets, and I followed Richard because I thought, well, that's really interesting. Someone claiming that they can align hips or that they can send energy to align hips. And I thought, well, that's something I've never heard of before. And so I responded, oh, I'm interested in this. And I didn't hear anything back. And I think this was back in June. So some time went by, and then I saw something else from Richard saying, well, is no one going to take me up on this? And I thought, well, I've reached out to you. Yes, I'll take you up on this. What do I need to do? He said, oh, gather 5 people together and a professional. So initially, I'm thinking, oh, I really wish I didn't have to find 5 people and tell them about this, because it's quite, they're going to think I'm crazy. So one of the first things I did actually was just get one of Richard's books, as I thought, well, let me just dig into this a little bit deeper. So I read the Quantum Touch 2 book, where he actually explains the process, and then I started talking to some people who I knew, and I tried to keep the circle small, and I thought, well, this person used to be a nurse, and surely she knows how to measure people's hips. So I had this set up with 5 people, including my husband, and this nurse. I had everything set up. I think it was back in July. And then when Richard found out, well, it was a nurse and not an osteopath or a chiropractor, he kind of backed out of it. He said, no, I didn't agree to this. And I thought, wow, he actually wants me to find a professional, not just someone who's in the medical field who could obviously learn how to measure hips. Because to me, I'm thinking, well, my husband can measure my hips. Why do I really need a professional?
Sure.
And yeah, and so that kind of gave a little bit more credibility to it. And actually, um, I mean, I think it was then that I started to think, well, maybe there's something more to it. And so I started talking to more people. I started reaching out because it's not so easy to get a professional to
Mhm.
explain it. And I'm in Portugal, and my Portuguese is not great, and so a lot of people just kind of ignored my inquiries. Um, but then I came across a friend who had been seeing this osteopath, and she said, I think he would be open to this. And so I reached out to him, and it must have taken another 6 weeks to get this arranged. But finally, we did, and I had another couple who were open minded, and I had them bring another couple that they knew, and so between us, we had 6 people. And I basically said, this man could be crazy, but I'll pay for the osteopath. And the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work, and we all go home. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I really do believe that he thinks he can do this. So I have this sense that he's telling his truth. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And so I thought he really believes this. And then I thought also, well, how did he convince all of these thousands of other people who are in quantum touch? How does he fool thousands of people, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, curiosity, I guess, got the best of me. And I thought, well, I don't have a lot to risk here, and why not just try it out? Because I knew from a young age, maybe for 20 years, that I've have misaligned hips, so my pelvic
Wow.
bone was tilted, and so it was something that I had paid money for. I'd spent lots of time at chiropractors, and so for me, just that chance that, well, if this could fix this problem that I've had for decades, it would be amazing. So it was kind of like, there's nothing to lose. It's just an osteopath appointment, and maybe I get ridiculed, for it, but I can handle that.
Well,
So
that's it. Because
but
sometimes we're
yeah,
willing to do these things on our own, but then when it's inviting other people and we have to sort of explain it to them what
yeah,
they're getting, that's a whole other level of being open and committing and kind of going for it. So good for you. I
yeah,
think that's wonderful. So they obviously said yes. And you set a
yes.
date, and the osteopath, he was aware of that it would be videoed, that it would be a group, and what the context was, I'm assuming.
Right.
Um,
He didn't know all of the details, but we kind of just we my husband and I went to the office first. So I made the appointment. I said, look, we probably need an hour for everyone when they get here, and then I had half an hour to kind of explain it all to him. But he's actually I believe he's the head of integrative medicines or something in the central Portugal. So he's very open minded. So he's familiar with energy healing. So I got lucky to find someone who already practiced energy healing, and I
mhm.
think had I not, it probably would have been more difficult. Let's say.
Probably,
Um,
that's it.
but
So,
it's quite
yeah.
amazing though, because he's the last person in the video to receive the energy. And if you watch closely, you see him rock back. And he said
Exactly.
he actually felt Richard's energy. Now, none of us felt it, but he actually felt the energy. So you see him, he's standing, and he kind of, if you watch him, he kind of takes a step back. And
Exactly.
it
I
was
thought
pretty
that was
amazing. Yeah.
remarkable. And I think it was a week later or 2 weeks later, there was another video published, and I'm
Hmm.
not sure if it was, I believe it was also an osteopath, but I'm not 100% sure which type of professional he was. But he also said in the video that he could feel the alignment as it was happening. So
Yes.
I thought that's really interesting. In both of those cases, the professional could actually feel something going on in their body, which is extraordinary.
Yes, yes. Now, I think for Antonio, my osteopath, I don't think he felt his bones moving, but he actually felt the energy.
The energy.
He
Okay.
felt it. He just said, he said, "Wow, this is a really, really good energy that he received." But he didn't know until he was measured by one of the other people that his hips were also aligned.
We're
Um,
aligned.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
so,
it was just an extraordinary experience. And today's the 1 month anniversary. It was a month ago. I can't
okay,
believe
it
it
was
was
a
only a
month
month
ago.
ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing. That's fantastic. Okay, so you're on that day, you're
Yeah.
there, everybody's gathered, and you're the one who's arranging. So I assume you're doing the communicating, and then when the video opens, Richard explains what he would like Antonio to measure.
Yes.
And then it goes so fast. Richard, when
So
he sends the
fast.
energy, it's a few seconds. And in 100% of the cases, the parts that were out of alignment were remeasured and they were in alignment. And so,
Mhm.
what was the feedback from the participants towards you, or towards the experience of what they were thinking, had just how they felt about what had just happened?
Yeah. So I went first and I thought I thought it was going to take, for whatever reason, either I would feel something or it would take longer, or, maybe he's not started yet. because Richard just kind of goes, okay, I'm going to meditate. And I think, okay, the meditation is, maybe that's a few minutes before he actually starts. But he says that, and then he says, it's done. And he has this little grin, and you're
Exactly.
like he can't keep himself from
That's
smiling a little bit, which is quite funny when I look back at the videos. But then when Antonio, I just thought, well, this was way too fast. Nothing happened. That was my first. I thought there's just no way. And then Antonio's there, and he's measuring my hips, and I'm looking at him. I'm looking down, and he says they're even, or something to that effect. And I
wow.
just was I said, really? I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And then I just got really, I just felt so grateful, because here I've had this problem and
Mhm.
it's just solved instantly. And I just couldn't believe it. And I just couldn't wait for everyone else to go after that.
Exactly. That
I
really
just
set the
couldn't
tone
wait.
for.
It was really, I just felt really happy about the people also who were there.
Mhm.
Um, it's just because it just feels like you're just sharing this blessing with other people, that, and you want them to heal, and you want them to feel better. Um, and there
That's
was one woman in particular who I really felt uh, good that she was there, and she's somebody I didn't know. I didn't really know personally, but I knew that she had lost her husband this year, and she has scoliosis, and not that it was to solve that or anything, but she didn't really know why she was there, and she'd had horrible neck pain for days, and she has normally has pain just even lying down.
wow.
And she just has a lot of pain, and you just feel for people who go through so much emotional pain, and then they're also suffering through physical pain. And what was amazing is right after she received the energy, when she went to sit down, she was touching the back of her neck, and she said, I've had pain for days and it's just gone. And so that was just really touching to see
Extraordinary.
that. Yeah, and
Yes.
I mean, it just, it's amazing what what can happen when you're just open, and when you say, you know, who cares if it, I mean, just be open to it. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That you're willing to go through the experience and just
Yeah,
see. Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
extraordinary. And so this
So,
has been very impactful. It's had a huge impact on you, so much
yes.
so that you've decided to take the Quantum Touch Level 1 workshop, which is starting in a few days with Deborah Gare.
Yes.
I'm very excited for you, and that you have also said that you're going to document your journey in energy healing. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide to take the workshop, and also how you're going to document the journey.
Okay. So I agreed with my husband. I said, if this works, I said, this is just going to change my life, because the implications that of consciousness and energy, that we can be thousands of miles away and someone can do this and send energy over Zoom. And by the way, this is kind of funny, there was no internet in that office. So we're actually tethering on a cell phone just to, so we're just, it was like a, you know, just barely even getting the signal in. And it just really is incredible, Renee. Like, it's just bringing me back to that day. I will just never forget that day. Um, and definitely, um, for me, because I'm on this journey of self-discovery, and I think it's so important for people to understand who they are and what their capabilities are, and that we have this capability in our bodies to heal ourselves. It really is amazing, and it's made me so much more aware of my own energy, and I feel more sensitive to energy, and I also feel like some of my emotional blocks have went away, and physical blocks. Just add that. And
Yes.
sometimes you don't notice things, you notice the absence of things. In other words, um, I'm noticing during this month that things that used to trigger this fear, where I would feel, um, I always refer to it as lightning. Like, I feel this shock go up my legs. Like, if for instance, yesterday or the day before, I almost slipped a little bit on the stairs, and I'll catch myself, but that would have been an event where I would have felt this shock in my legs, or something, like during the summer, a couple of times I got a really bad yellow jacket sting. And I remember the last few weeks they're kind of around, and one was a little bit chasing me. And if that happened, I would feel this fear, and I always feel it as this shock running through my legs. And that happened again. And I'm just noticing all of these things that I know I would have felt that shock, and it's not happening anymore. It's like it has somehow aligned. My energy just feels more balanced. That's all, the only way I can put it. And I know that doesn't happen to everyone, but it's just, you know, that's my experience. And
That's
it's been really
extraordinary.
wonderful.
That's exactly. And because we understand also that, the energy that Richard is sending is being directed to a specific location, but it is, as you mentioned, the body's natural intelligence, and it's that flow of life force energy that isn't restricted to one place. We have this life force that flows through us. So it seems to me very natural that it's going to affect us on multiple levels, not just physically, also emotionally, mentally as well, and potentially other parts of our bodies, because we're a dynamic, alive system. So that is
Yes.
beautiful. It's not just, energy that's sent to one spot, and that one spot responds to
Right.
it. So extraordinary, and amazing for you that you have the awareness, that you have noticed it also. It's been significant enough that you've noticed a difference in your experience on different levels as well. That's amazing.
I feel like
Beautiful.
I'm even more, just more self-aware of my thoughts and emotions because I can now feel, because I'm now more sensitive to this energy, that I can
Mhm.
actually, I mean, it's actually helping me on my self-discovery journey, which I never
Beautiful.
would have imagined. So right now I'm documenting things, uh, just taking notes. And when I start the quantum touch course, I'll also be documenting my journey. And I'm going to start publishing the videos again to my YouTube channel. And then, I mean, a lot of this is a little bit maybe too much long form for Twitter, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, and maybe just put some threads here and there on it as far as how it relates to self discovery. But I'll definitely add the details about the energy healing and even my failures. You know, just because there are certain things when you try to do something uh, that come up. You know, the self doubt of, oh, am I not doing
Mhm.
this right? But interestingly enough, um, since, well, definitely in the last month, my husband and I, so he has not read the Quantum Touch book, and he has no interest really in energy healing. It's kind of, it's all me. Um, but I was having this trouble um, maybe 2 weeks ago with my shoulder. I think I slept wrong or something, and I just get these knots sometimes in my shoulder. And for 4 or 5 days, I wasn't able to sleep right. I just kept waking up. And finally, I asked him, I said, would you just try to, you know, run energy into my shoulder? And he said, well, I'll try. And I just explained the sweeping technique. And like I said, he's never read anything. He's just getting it secondhand from me. And and after about 5 minutes, I mean, I could feel the knots disappearing. And after 5 minutes, my right shoulder, where I had the issue, felt like it was lower than my left shoulder. And I could feel the tension then in my left shoulder, which I didn't even realize was there. And so I made him do the other shoulder.
That is
And then I
amazing.
thought to myself, why did I wait 5 days just to ask? Because what's
Mhm.
the harm? It's 5 minutes, and maybe you don't, maybe nothing happens. It's okay. But
Exactly.
but it was really amazing. And that happened after one evening he had a terrible sinus headache, which he never ever gets headaches.
Oh.
And so I just ran the energy into his head, and I thought about I mean, I just followed the what it says, you know, thought about some memories of people I loved, and just breathed and focused the
Mm.
energy in his head. I mean, that's really all I did. And after I was done, he said, "Did you hear that?" I said, "No. What?" He said, "My nose." He said, "It popped. Could feel his sinuses pop." And he was just, he said
Amazing.
it went. Yeah, it was just amazing. I mean, I think that really, just those two instances,
Well, it's
um,
a
just
great yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So what's amazing to me is that this didn't take years to learn. You know, I mean, I've not even been to a single workshop. I've just read this book.
Well, and it's a
it,
great example of how
it's just,
natural it's something that's
yeah,
actually natural to us, and
yeah.
that we can all do. And it's in I think in Quantum Touch, The Power to Heal. So Richard's first
Hmm.
Quantum Touch book, he talks about, you know, like the fish not knowing what water is. You know, we are surrounded
Yeah,
and we have this
exactly.
stuff flowing through us, and we have the ability to use it, to amplify it, to direct it. So it's a natural part of us, which is so obviously your husband just intuitively was able to start doing it without knowing the techniques, you know, to having learned them in the workshop, to fine tune and to understand what he's doing also, but that there was your body still responded to receiving that energy just naturally. That's extraordinary.
I think so too. I just think I mean, really everyone should learn how to do this, I think.
I
I
agree.
mean,
I think it's a
just
life skill, actually.
isn't it?
And it will be, I think it will be in the future, it will be considered a life skill that people just learn, and that we'll look back at this time and think, how could they ever get through life without knowing
Right.
about this,
Right.
their life force energy, how to use it, how to activate their, that we even have a healer within us, that our body has this
Hmm.
extraordinary intelligence, and how to use it. This will seem kind of like the dark ages or something
Right.
like that. So, okay, so tell us how, what is your YouTube channel? So then once you start posting, people can discover you. So I'm looking forward to following your journey. And maybe at some point we can also do a follow-up video after you've taken the workshop and you've had a chance
Definitely.
to practice as well. I noticed that in one of your tweets, you said that you were looking for, I think, 150 people. So, which is great. I hope that
Yes.
you get response, and maybe as people see this video also, maybe some people will respond. And I remember when I was getting my practice
Hmm.
hours in before my certification, I put out a call on, actually there's a quantum touch, a large quantum touch group on Facebook. And so
Oh,
I had a lot of people respond. So I was working, doing mostly through distance, with strangers. So I
yeah.
was nervous at first. So it was people who I didn't know, and so there was
Mm.
I didn't have any prior knowledge of them. And when you're working with somebody, they know what you're trying to do. These people, they were very open. And I said, I'd like
Okay.
to do a practice session with you. And if you could just give me your feedback afterwards, then that would be wonderful. It was a fabulous experience and a great way to get practice hours too. So I love that you
Right.
put that call out just publicly to work with people that you don't even know. That's amazing. I hope you get a lot of response from it.
I hope so. I think the testimonials will be important. So I mean they're just so valuable, right? So right people will cross paths. So I'll just rely on synchronicity.
I think that's a fantastic approach, and I agree. Often I feel like this work just brings me together with the right people, and it's a little bit magical in that way, I guess I would call it.
Yes.
Great. So thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I'm excited to share this story with the Quantum Touch YouTube channel as well, and to reconnecting at some point in the future. So I appreciate you being here with me today. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Renee. It's been a pleasure.